5:08, we have a quorum, so at this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the Hannaford Regional Technical School District, Wednesday, June 14th, monthly meeting. You have in front of you a draft agenda. I'd like to make we need to make a few changes. I'd like to add to the action agenda to approve the corporate resolution for bank signatures. This was a document that we previously approved with Lynn's name on it. Just a change to the...
Mr. Chair, I would suggest that you add it as an action item to addendum that, because you're not approving the whole corporate resolution, you're just making an addendum.
Good point.
To it.
Good, yeah. Okay. So we'll make that change. We'll add that to the end of the action agenda. Does anyone have any questions? Right. Got a motion to approve the draft agenda. Moved. Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is carried. So we'll lead off with introduction of board members. Mark, would you like to start?
Mark Aaron, representing the Workforce Investment.
Allison Sertivant, Maui District.
Nick Colston, representing ACSD.
Linda Barrett, clerk.
Lynn Call, Superintendent.
Jason LaRock, Workforce Investment Board.
Melissa Beckwith, Workforce Investment Board.
Michael McGrath, Addison Northwest.
Glenn Schmidt, Adult Ed, Gibson Smith, Business Manager.
Kelly Mills, Dean of Students and Assistant Director.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is visitor comment. I see we do not have any visitors in the audience. Do we have any correspondence?
Yes, we do.
Excellent.
I have a couple of them.
Okay.
Kelly.
So I have, I will read on Lynn's behalf, a letter from Ms. Sheena Strada. Dear Mr. Cole and members of the PAHRS-TV Board, please accept this letter as formal notification that I am resigning from my position as literacy coach at the Hannaford Career Center, effective at the end of the 2016-2017 school year. It has been my pleasure to serve the community in this capacity for the previous 6 years. This tenure has been instrumental in shaping my professional development, and I am proud of the work my colleagues and I have accomplished together. However, the time has come for me to move on to new challenges. I thank you for years of support and wish you and all affiliated with the Hannaford Career Center the best. Sincerely, Sheena Strada.
Thank you. So
You probably should take action to accept that.
Okay.
Move to accept letter of resignation from Sheena Estrada.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion is carried. Lynn, do you have any additional correspondence?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
This is a June 9th letter received from our accountants, Angolano and Company. Dear Gibson, this is to inform you that due to personal, health, and professional reasons, I am retiring from auditing effective immediately. Heather will continue to prepare the annual statistical report for the AOE. We as a firm will continue to do management services and all the other services listed on our website. Profession standards in the Yellow Book now questions the independence of any auditor who has audited the same entity for multiple years. AICPA audit quality standards require that a sample of audits have a qualified reviewer who is independent to the audit team conduct quality review. We are too small to meet this requirement in-house. Last year, we contracted this out at an average cost of $2,500 per review. It was difficult to find a firm that was willing to do this work. I recommend that you go out for bid immediately. We will do what we can to make it a smooth transition. And we apologize for the inconvenience. David Angolano. So, you will need to seek another auditor
All right.
based on this.
So I presume that you're going to put together the professional bid package, you know, requesting.
I will do a couple of things. I will reach out to some of my colleagues. There's probably but yes, I assume I'll have to do bid this out. So I'll put that together.
Okay.
I imagine we're not the only ones to get that letter either.
Yes.
Is there a process for reviewing those bids and those bid packages before they're shipped?
Well, the decision on who does the audit, hiring the auditor would be the board's decision,
That's correct.
I would presume.
I
So,
think Missy's asking if she can see the specs before.
I'm not
they go on.
necessarily saying aye, because I wouldn't necessarily know what I was looking for,
I'm
but
sorry.
it seems like, some assistance from a qualified individual to put that bid package together would be a good idea, similar to putting a construction package together.
it may make sense to bring it before budget and policy.
Okay.
Could you get Satch's advice on it? He must know something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that we've gone out to bid before, so we should have samples of that.
Okay.
The ACSD recently changed their auditors, so
Is that right?
they should be able to give you some advice. And have been happy with the change.
We've been happy with the new auditor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, any additional, I don't think we need to take action on that at this point. Any additional correspondence that anyone has they want to share with the board?
No.
Okay. So the next is the consent agenda, which includes the meeting minutes for May 10th, 2017, and the accounts payable for June. Do we have the accounts payable numbers for June?
I do have them.
Okay.
I'd like to pull the minutes for
Okay.
the
Well,
consent agenda.
We'll do, well, let's get the numbers first,
Oh, okay.
then we'll, that way we have the full consent
Do you know what
agenda
came
in front of
in
us.
today? Okay, so as of today, both Mike and I have reviewed basically, I think, 2 months worth of funds. So bear with me, there's a few numbers. Actually, I'm just going to read 2 sets of numbers. I'm not going to give you the individual quick checks, which we kind of lump into total expenditures, but I will do the dates. So from the building and equipment reserve, there's nothing this month, but from the general fund, and it includes all these dates, June 13th, May 31st, May 24th, May 2nd, and April 21st. Out of the general fund, a total of $218,469.61. And then dated today out of the revolving accounts, $9,272.68.
Okay. All right, thank you. Allison?
I'd like to pull the minutes
Okay.
from the consent agenda.
Okay. Hearing that, we'll remove the minutes from the consent agenda. Are there any other, or does anyone want to remove anything else for further consideration?
What does that mean?
So the way the consent agenda works is regardless, unless we remove it for further discussion, it's automatically approved. So that's, we present the agenda as a whole, and if there's anything that needs to be removed for further consideration or for comment, then we deal with it as a separate item. So we've removed the meeting minutes, the monthly accounts payable for June stand as read. So next item would be to approve the meeting minutes for May 10th, 2017, and I presume we have some revisions.
Right, it says that I was absent, but I was here. I might have come a few minutes late.
And I would second that because you said
Okay. We also need to add a date or a time for adjournment. We went into executive session at 6 o'clock. I believe we came out at
8:15 or
8:15.
something.
Is that?
I think that's about right.
And so we adjourned at 8. 8:20. So the board was in executive session from 6 to 8:15. We came out, we did 4.1, and then we adjourned at 8:20.
4.1 was done before. we went to
That's right,
executive
in that case
session.
we did. So
Was there any
8:50
action?
there
in
was-
executive session
there was
after
no
executive?
action.
Okay.
And we adjourned at 8:15. So, are there any other revisions to the meeting minutes, May 10th, 2017? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you.
I'll abstain.
One abstention. So under our action agenda, policy 2.4, financial planning and budgeting. There's a copy of that monitoring report in your packet. I'm going to turn it over to Lynn.
I'm going to point to Gibson, he's put together that report.
This is a monitoring report, and I just listed that we're meeting all accounting standards and doing everything as they should be. If you have the information, I wonder if you have any questions based on what's written.
Any questions for Gibson on policy 2.4? Okay. Hearing none,
Move to accept policy 2.4, financial planning and budgeting.
I'll second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the monitoring report for policy 2.1, financial planning and budgeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. That motion is carried. Next item would be to approve the contract for superintendent. Everyone should have a copy in front of them. This was not in your board packet.
I also don't have.
Actually, I gave Mark one already. Yeah, sorry.
Jason, I do.
So last Thursday, Kim Farnham and I met with Dana Peterson and worked through this contract. This is a 2-year contract. Mirrors the format of Lynn's contract and most of the benefits of Lynn's contract. A few things to note, the vacation days and the retirement annuity matching. The other thing that we've also done is we've set the dental insurance and the health insurance plan to be adjusted to match what our master agreement is. So we keep this contract in line with that. So what the board will be approving is this contract, and you're approving me to go ahead and sign it with Dana. If you approve that tonight, Dana and I will get together Tuesday, that he's gonna be up here this coming Tuesday, and execute this agreement. So, is there any questions on what's in front of you?
Is there any modification in terms of reviewing? I know that under policy governance, we sort of are constantly reviewing the superintendent, and he will be starting in July, and we've been starting our sort of formal process in November. Is there any discussion around that?
There wasn't any discussion around that. When his contract rolls around, when we have to approve it again next year, and have the conversation about compensation for the 18-19 school year, you're right. We will not have seen a full year of monitoring reports. We may want to take a look at, policy, in the Budget and Policy Committee, look at, making some changes to the monitoring reports for this year, so that we can get a full review in. Other than that, I guess what you'd be saying is changing policy governance and changing how we do the superintendent's
Yeah,
review.
maybe it's, I think we've got the process down
Yeah.
pretty good now. Just that by November, we should know enough if we are able to move something else into the action agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
So budget and policy will take that up.
Yeah. Any further questions? Not, we'll take a motion.
Is the 1-year renewal subsequent to the 2 years, is March 1st enough timing to find a new superintendent if need be?
Well, so, there is an error in this. Let's take one step back before I answer that question. It should read interim employment contract. And that being said, this would be extending, this gives us the option to extend it 1 additional year beyond this. My guess is we're gonna have a pretty good idea within the first 6 months of where we're headed. If, and if, at that point, if this is gonna stay an interim position, we're probably gonna have to start our process over again. To find the permanent replacement. But that'd be my take on it. I don't know if the board shares that same.
I guess it says no later, so
Yeah.
So a question I have, so the period of this is July 1st, 2017 to June 30, 2019?
Yes.
But then it talks about new contracts being signed. It says 15 and May 1st. Do those dates align the way that they show on F on the back?
That's taken verbatim from the previous contract. So this is we're signing a 2-year, we're, unless we fall into the interruption of employment scenario, we're signing a 2-year contract. So this contract renewal is if we are extending that 2-year contract.
Right, so I understand that. I guess it was just, those dates aligned with a July 1st new contract to take effect. If we were to extend.
Yeah. No, wait. March 1st, the contract year extended. Extend the contract. So the way I read this is we have to tell them by March 1st if we don't want to issue, we're not going to extend it beyond the 2 years. And we need to have that new contract. If no one says, hey, we're not, he doesn't want to continue, or we don't want him to continue, we have to have that conversation by March 1st. And then we have to have the new contract that's being offered needs to be in his hands April 15th and has to be returned by May 1st. Is what, so, there's kind of a little bit of a disconnect there. I see what you're saying, yeah.
I guess, in a sense, if the contract's not returned by May 1st, the position is considered open, giving 2 months to find a replacement.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So, it's short, yes, but
It's better than 2 weeks.
better than 2 weeks.
He just told another retirement. Not even doing it.
Thank you for that.
And like I said, that's the language that was in the previous contract, so I didn't want to vary from those. If the board wants to, we can change that, but. All right, any further questions? Allison?
So, under D, it says other employee benefits 1718.
So what we have done in the past is Lynn's got a rolling contract. So, the salary we're looking at for 18-19, we're also gonna look at the benefits again for 18-19 is the intent there, so.
And that'll be spelled out in the new contract that gets signed.
Exactly, especially since the health insurance is most likely gonna be,
Very different.
change at some point, so.
So then, section D is annual, those are benefits on
Yeah.
an annual basis.
Yeah. All right, any further discussion? If not, take a motion to authorize me to sign this contract on behalf of the board.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. And the motion is carried. You will have a new superintendent by July 1.
Yay.
Excellent. Next item is to approve the changes to our bylaws. So there's a copy of that in your packet. Got myself all mixed up here.
I might address that.
So I want to, before Lynn addresses that, so our existing bylaws, if you read through it, requires that the voters change our bylaws. This set of bylaws still says that. At our last annual meeting, we warned and had the voters approve authorizing us to make a change to this document to address the names of the new sending districts. And they approved that, so that's the only thing that happened in this document. Now, we did that because, we were gonna have to go to the voters with two sets of bylaws. A set this past year and then a set this coming year, as the district changes are a year apart, so. Allison?
So with the Mount A High School, UD 28, are you going to ask at town meeting March 18 to allow us to change this again?
No, because we've asked, the intent was they've granted us the authority.
For however long it took
Yeah,
to change the names?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the intent, so. Lynn?
That's exactly why, you're good.
All right.
I'm good.
So,
Are we allowed to ask other questions?
you are allowed to ask all the questions that you want.
Thanks. And they're open.
No one per day, that's it.
3. On the third page where it says, under C, personnel, employ, evaluate, and when necessary, dismiss the director, should that state superintendent, since that's around?
It should,
should, but we
that is
can't
what
change
you
that.
asked for it to change, and you can only change your bylaws at the annual meeting.
At the what?
At the annual meeting.
Great, so we'll keep that note for next year.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then,
the only changes that you can address are the changes to the names of the sending school district.
Yeah. So do you have other questions, or do you want to sit, or are they not related to the name changes, and you want to bring it up at budget and policy
That's what
for
I'll do.
warning it? Bring it to the board and we'll warn it for the annual meeting if that's where we end up. Any further questions? At this point, we take a motion to approve the revised bylaws.
I'll move that.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been seconded. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. The motion is carried. Get my pile straight here. The next item is to approve and sign bank line of credit document. That is not in your packet. And I'm gonna turn it over to Lynn, who's probably gonna turn it over to Gibson.
It is in the packet, is it not? Oh, no,
Nope.
it went in, okay.
But I handed it out to you.
No, actually, I was mistaken about that. What you handed out is the next item to approve. This is,
Right, go ahead, Gibson.
So it's just the document I just received from the bank, basically approving the line of credit that will be in effect. I asked for $1 million line of credit. I think they gave us a little more, $1,125,000 that's we can access over the course of the following school year to assist with our cash flow needs. So you have the document,
Yep.
Jason, so it just needs to be passed around and signed. I think that there's 2 locations for the buildings to sign.
so I'm gonna take the sticky and put it on the second place we need to sign. So, any discussion?
What is the rate of interest?
It's, last year it was between 3% and 4%. I can't recall exactly what it is, but I can let you know. I'll
Okay, good. It's probably going up.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a municipal rate or is it different?
Excuse me?
Is it a municipal rate like the towns would get, or is it different than that?
I don't know that answer. I'm gonna investigate that.
So there's actually 3 places we need to sign here, is that correct? If you want to come up and take a quick peek at this before I send it around. So we have the resolution,
Right.
which we need to sign. We have the actual line of credit note, the municipal note we need to sign. And we need to sign the,
Tax anticipation.
this note.
Okay.
So, and the arbitrage certificate,
So there are 3 locations on here.
so. There we go. So, do we have a motion? Or do we have a motion to approve approve and sign the line of credit document?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. All those opposed signify by saying nay. All right, motion is carried. So I'm going to sign this and I'm going to send it around. You'll see there's the shortage of lines.
I see Monday, that's probably been good.
So just sign near it. There you go. So the next item is to approve an amendment to the corporate resolution for bank signatories that we filled out, I believe it was 2 months ago. This is a amendment to remove Lynn Cole's name and add Dana Peterson. So everyone should have a copy of that. It was not in the packet, however, it was sent around.
And those are signers on all of the accounts except the general fund.
And this will be signed by me and our treasurer, so. So it's been moved, and we have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. All right, the motion is carried. That concludes our action agenda for tonight. Moving into our informational agenda, the superintendent's report. You should see a copy of that in your board packet. Turn it over to Lynn.
It's very short. We did do a senior exit survey. You have some of the results of that. We have 37% of our students going directly, of our seniors and completers going directly into the workforce. Finally, I would just like to thank the board and the community for the 15 years that I've had the pleasure of serving as the superintendent and director of the Hannaford Career Center. I wish Dana Peterson all well and good things. He's inheriting an outstanding administrative, teaching, and support staff. And this has been by far the best job I've ever had in my life, and I appreciate your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you.
And I'd say we take them up on if there's actually anything we can do. We've got a farm out on North Campus that needs a lot of water usually in the summertime. And
Got it covered. It's covered.
You're volunteering already?
Nice, nice.
The gentleman from St. Albans who talked me into slaughtering 350 chickens last year called me up and said asked if I was ready to go. He had 600 this year. And I said, here, I gave him Dana's number.
Just so you know, we didn't bring that up when we met with Dana.
Yeah. It's not in the contract, no, we better add that real quick.
Yeah, in there.
Yeah,
Duties
something about
as
chicken.
assigned, right?
It's like, what's this about chickens?
What do they say, chicken poop rolls? Looking at 3.
All right, any other questions
Jason,
for Lynn?
I have a question. So Lynn, why is the number of 30% entering the workforce concerning? Is it because they're not going into good jobs, high wage jobs?
Because it is anticipated that livable wage jobs by 2020 will require at least some post-secondary education. So if a third of our students are entering the workforce without that post-secondary education, that's concerning to me, without plans to do that. So you have some students who are taking a gap year and those kinds of
Okay,
things.
that's what I was gonna ask. Is-
But those aren't included in the 37%.
Oh, they aren't?
No.
Oh, because I don't see anything in here that takes them out of the mix as a gap year.
If they could identify that they've been accepted into a college,
see.
just to say, I'm taking a gap year is not really taking a gap year. That's going directly into the workforce, so.
So when we, as the board of the Hannaford Career Center, say that our mission is to have our students, when they leave here, to be career ready,
Career and college ready.
and college ready, but career ready, when they graduate from high school, aren't we thinking that a lot of the kids that leave here may not necessarily go on for post-secondary, so?
There's a difference between a job and a career.
Okay.
And I'm still pretty well convinced, the data and the research shows that livable wages by 2020 will require, in Vermont, will require at least some post-secondary education. And that's not discrediting what we're doing here, but it's been my mission to increase the number going on to post-secondary, and this is a decrease. And I don't think it's lack of preparedness. I think it's lack of access to post-secondary, and I think it's lack of funding. I think that more and more families are finding post-secondary education as being cost prohibitive. When I talk to students, that's what they're saying. I would go on, but I can't afford to. So.
Is this number of 37%, is this higher or lower than?
I believe it's higher, but that's anecdotal. This is the first time that we actually have that. We've been, roughly in the in the high to mid 40s that are going on to post-secondary. So I guess it's not that, you know, we've got about that going on.
So 51% will be
Yeah.
attending some post-secondary.
Post-secondary, so that's not a bad number, but, you know, there's not a lot of high-paying jobs in Addison County with a high school education. Let me put it
Well,
that way.
on some of those numbers, are you including some of the kids who've had some of the apprenticeship programs or the, like when they go out to, well, say my shop or whatever, and then they go, because I've hired some that don't go to secondary school.
Sure.
One in particular is an ASC Master Tech, making really good money. So I don't know as if all that's true, if they're going into the field that they were training in here, and they're continuing on still training.
And that's, I do not know the answer to your
A
question.
lot of the training he
Right.
did with me, I trained or I paid for.
Correct. That's
So he didn't
correct.
have to go to secondary school.
That's correct.
So,
But they're getting some type of post-secondary education.
okay. It's just not, it's not gonna show up here, that's all. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Some of those, some of those may not be as concerning as we think, because they're actually going in the field, like if they're a diesel tech and they may not go into secondary, but if they're going into a job where
Their
the
career.
employer's continuously sending them to schools to get updated on forklifts or whatever the case might be.
And I don't know the answer to what the question you're asking. What I don't know is how many are going to work in the trade
Their
that they
field, yeah.
were working on here.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Or even in, you know, because we don't know that that's what the ones heading off to school are doing either. But, you know, we've had completers here that go do
That's-
something
that's
completely
correct. I
different.
don't-
So,
Right.
you know, so I guess in this.
Now, there is the senior survey will tell you that. This was our own
This is the
private.
Hannaford senior survey
This is.
versus their high school senior survey.
Correct, but the high school senior survey does attach what tech center they went to. So you will be getting that data in the fall. And that data could be extremely different than this.
So one could argue that this, you know, this should be be presented to us in an ends reporting,
Correct.
instead of the superintendent report. So
And
I
this is
guess,
the first year we've done this,
Yeah.
though. Okay.
so
That's correct.
I guess my question is, on item 7, not to beat a dead horse, how much further could that be broken down? To kind of refine, you know, are these kids that are, you know, are just or students that are just lumped into this group because they haven't, you know, applied at a college, haven't been accepted yet, and haven't made that decision? Or are these ones that are currently have job offers and Monday after graduation are reporting to work in a job or a career in some fashion, or, you know, in between? So I guess it was, I guess I'm curious, how was it phased, how were the questions asked in the
There were only like 3 questions. And I think, I've talked to Brenda about it. I think that she's going to add some more in-depth questions that would answer the questions you're asking. Basically, it was, you know, what are your future plans? And those were broken down into, 4-year, 2-year trade, military, and entering the workforce.
Okay.
But it didn't say, are you doing 4 years in what you studied at the Career Center? It does not go into that depth.
Well, and I would, not to micromanage, but to kind of tease out, are you going to a job when you graduate high school, or are you continuing the career path
Correct.
as when you graduate? So I
Correct.
think the distinction between those two would be helpful.
I would agree with you.
Mark?
And I would say we've got to be careful with something like this too, because there's a high percentage of those 51%ers that aren't going to finish college and have debt.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and I think that, our goal as boards in the secondary system is to make sure that students are making good choices. And the financial literacy piece of those choices is critical. And so to Lynn's point that there's barriers, that's a barrier.
Correct.
That's a very real thing. And as far as I know, Regents is the only school that offers a financial literacy course and actually addresses this type of situation, that particular situation.
No, and this, that's a conversation that, takes place at many kitchen tables around this county and the entire country. It's a conversation that's brought up at my kitchen table on a very regular basis. That balance. So I hear what you're saying, and we've seen the the data on the high paying jobs for 2020, what the limitations are going to be based on that study. But this doesn't take into account the kid that's going into a plumber internship or an electrical an apprenticeship somewhere that may not even be related to what he or she did while they were here. Just like those credentials are post-secondary, may not be what we're looking at, or what not what we're looking at, but it's not college per se. So, but it's still still post-secondary. So, but it'd be nice data to have, so that we, because it does answer, it tells us how we are answering to those ends. But I think we need more than just this to do that. So, any further questions for Lynn? All right. Hearing none, thanks, Lynn, and welcome. Next item is the Dean of Students report. Ms. Nellis, would you like to speak to that? There's a copy of it in your board packet.
Any questions?
All right. Thank you.
Do you have any projections for enrollment for the next year? Are you looking forward? Do you have any?
I haven't seen any yet. That's out of the guidance office.
Good.
Have you seen any, Lynn?
I've seen the early ones. I certainly can get that put together and make sure that it's in your July board packet.
Yeah, because it would be nice to have an update as to,
Sure.
this budget, which is getting a little, 6 months old now. So
Yeah.
Correct.
see where we're going for the next year. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions on Dean of Students report for Kelly? Thanks again.
Thank you.
Next item is the Adult Technical Education report. Copy of it's in your packet, and I'll turn it over to Len.
So, I think I put a copy in there of the Summer Employment Opportunity Program, which has kind of had fits and starts. It's a challenging grant out of the Department of Labor. The grant announces who's received it at the end of May for programs that have to run that summer. The resource is taking the lead on this and initially had hired a Middlebury, or had interviewed for a Middlebury program coordinator, and then at kind of last minute, that person accepted another position, and they sent out an email to Vermont Adult Ed and myself that the program was in jeopardy, might not happen for lack of a local coordinator. Have since re-advertised, are interviewing, I believe yesterday and today, for somebody who they hope will start training tomorrow. So at this point, I don't actually know if a coordinator's been hired for that. And we do not have an MOU worked out for the different roles and responsibilities. I'm
optimistic, eternally optimistic perhaps, that those things will come into place. I think it's an exciting program, but right now I couldn't really tell you for certain if it's going to happen or not. Also, there was a nice article on the CDL program, and it has an Eagle copy of that on the adult ed bulletin board downstairs. I was not successful, not for lack of trying, getting an article in the Addison Independent.
Well, that's too bad. It's, it's been a long time in the making, and, congratulations on pulling it off, and, 5 new CDL drivers on the road, so, excellent. Any questions for Len? All right. So the summer employment opportunities, can you tell us a little more about how that's, so they're looking for a coordinator.
So
but-
Resource they're the folks that run Recycle North out of Burlington. They do a number of both adult and youth training programs. In the Burlington area, they expanded to Barry about 5 years ago and approached the Community Workforce Solutions office in Middlebury about running summer programs here. They reached out to Vermont Adult Learning and myself, and we started a conversation about what could that look like. Kind of how we've structured it is that students will participate for 6 weeks. They'll have essentially soft skills, pre-employment skills, interviewing, resume writing, those kinds of things delivered by this coordinator who's to be hired by Resource. They will have academic skills delivered by Vermont Adult Learning, and they'll have 4 weeks of technical skills delivered by the Career Center in our building. So for those 4 weeks, they'll have a couple hours a day of pre-employment, a couple hours a day of academic, and a couple hours a day of, actually 2.5 hours a day of technical programming. Exploration, basically.
Okay.
They'll get paid $10 an hour for participating, and they'll go through a competitive application admissions process to be admitted into the program, and they're looking for 12 students.
All right. That's where I was confused. I was looking at this, and, the way you were talking about it, it was more, it sounded a lot like summer school,
Right.
That you were getting paid for.
Right. It is kind of like summer school that you're getting paid for. Summer school and career exploration.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
Where does the funding come for this program?
It's the Summer Employment Opportunity Grant out of Department of Labor. I think that there's also like a portion of Vermont Adult Learning's is going to be run through their programs that will be covering part of their cost. There is also, I think Vermont Adult Learning is throwing in some money from a United Way grant that they got. But basically, one of the bigger expenses, which is the stipends to all the students, is coming out of the Summer Employment Opportunities Grant.
Any further questions for Len?
And does this, have they been working productively in Burlington and?
I think so. I think that they have, in Burlington, it's been mostly entirely focused on their Recycle North. They've essentially only had a construction component rather than this, multiple we don't have a construction program here, but I wanted something that was exposing the community to the range of programs that we do offer. So that's why there was kind of this different focus in what we're doing. In Burlington, it's also, they run year-round programs
Okay.
that I am not really clear what that relationship to those programs is with the tech centers in that area. I think that there may be times when they're competing for the same pool of students. So I'm kind of like, I don't really want to create the same thing that they're doing up there, but something that is tailored to the local partnership. And the experience so far working with Vermont Adult Learning on this has just been fantastic. I think that if it goes down in flames for lack of a resource higher, I think you'd probably see us in Vermont Adult Learning try and put a grant together just for the two of us for next summer.
Okay, yeah. Good. Thanks.
Interesting. Any further questions? All right. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is the Budget and Policy Committee report. A copy of those meeting minutes in your packet. That was May 17th, Wednesday, May 17th. It was attended by myself, Richard Rathman, and Mr. Cole. We took up policy 2.1, treatment of students, based on a comment on the monitoring report for 2.1. And what we determined after we dug a little deeper, that there wasn't a need to change the policy, and that the reporting of the policy was in error, and that the instructors provide the policy to their students at the beginning of every class. So, if the class runs for a semester, and, in fall semester, they'll be presented with
Correct.
with the policy.
Brenda Logie does. She
Yeah.
meets with
Okay.
them.
But it's, the students are, when they come into, all new students coming into the building get access to that. So, we also reviewed the bylaws that you approved tonight. And Lynn was negotiating, was talking with ACSD, and working out the agreements of a new lease. Or
Be able to improve on that buck a year lease that we got.
They are, I did meet with them, and they are drafting a draft of a new lease agreement. And this building by state law can only be used for career and technical education unless career and technical education decides that they don't need it for that purpose. And if at any point they decide they need it back for that purpose, they get it back. So that's where the lease agreement, I think that there is some concerns because it's not well stated. And we've always kind of done a 33 and a third and 2/3 kind of on shared kinds of services, i.e. parking lots, et cetera, et cetera. And since we just got the parking lot and driveway redone, there was a little bit of a debate over there. And I said, well, okay, you're right. It's not technically in here how that's split, but this is how we're going to split it this time. So, we have paid for the parking and such.
Okay.
So I think they want that a little bit clearer as we move forward.
all right. So do you think that'll be resolved before will budget and policy, or will facilities, or budget and policy
Yeah, I think
see?
that, yeah, I
copy of
think
that?
they're working on it. I mean, you know, there's all the name changes, because right now it's all UD3, that's what's in there. Yeah, I think you're gonna probably have a draft sometime this summer.
Huh, excellent. Excellent. Any questions for the Budget and Policy Committee? All right, thank you. On the back side of that, you'll see the Facilities Committee meeting minutes for Monday, June 5th, 2017. Does anyone have any questions? All right, hearing none. We do not need an executive session tonight, I don't believe. Is that correct, Lynn?
I don't.
Okay. So do we have a volunteer to do policy 4.1 governing style?
Did you have some?
I don't know, it was in the packet.
Which one? Yeah, we did that already.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the
plan.
first, that was our first action agenda item. So do we have a volunteer? Mark, there you go. Thank you for volunteering, Mark.
Yeah, well, considering that the time on these, on this was 6:05 for the committee report and technically 6:10 for the meeting, right on time. Good involvement, orderly conversation. I think we succeeded in policy 4.1. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
For adjournment.
All right. Is there a second on?
I will second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
All those opposed? Motion is carried. So just don't shut that off yet. Thanks. Just so everyone is,
Didn't bring the plaque.
no, I didn't bring the. So yeah, I'll explain that story when the camera goes off. So next Thursday, the 22nd of June at Two Brothers Lounge, there's going to be a retirement reception for Mr. Lynn Cole. 4:30 to 6:30. Made in Vermont singers will be there to do a small set at about 6 o'clock. So hope to see all of you there. So
That's not past your bedtime, 6:30.
thanks.